everyone. You are watching Eagle News America. I'm Ace Ramirez coming to you from Washington. It's Wednesday, February 10, 2021. We have updates from our correspondents across North America. Eliza Gonzalez, Manglikmot in Washington.
The District of Columbia distributes $13 million from rental assistance programs to housing providers.
Mayanne Manzano-Guerzon in Sicklerville, New Jersey.
New Jersey COVID briefing to be held virtually after Governor Phil Murphy's family member tests positive.
Joanne Soriano in New York reports about indoor dining returning to the city on February 12. Mila Simbulan in Swarthmore, Pennsylvania.
Pennsylvania Department of Health launched a new vaccine eligibility tool called Your Turn.
Rani Bayuga in Pearisburg, Ohio.
Ohioans to receive rent assistance and Ohio K-12 schools' academic assessments are down.
Jessica Isidro in Austin, Texas.
FEMA in Texas launches community vaccination sites in Houston and Dallas. Governor Abbott discusses border security with Department of Public Safety Director, and Texas ranked top exporting state by U.S. Census Bureau.
And for EBC Sports, Melissa Potes in Orlando, Florida, reports about Jeremy Lin returning to NBA's G League affiliate Santa Cruz Warriors. Plus, for our roundtable discussion, it's National Umbrella Day. Let's talk about real-life experiences when umbrellas save the day. Our coverage begins now. House managers tell senators that Donald Trump's repeated lies about election fraud led his supporters to storm the U.S. Capitol in a deadly riot on January 6. Let's take a look.
He gave them specific instructions on how, where, and when to fight to stop the steal. He told them to show up on January 6th and march to the U.S. Capitol to stop the certification of the election results. And he told them to come here and fight like hell. That this violent mob that showed up here on January 6th didn't come out of thin air. President Donald John Trump incited this violence. And that's the truth.
He directed all of the rage that he had incited to January 6th. That was his last chance to stop the peaceful transition of power. The evidence here on this count is overwhelming. President Trump's conduct leading up to January 6th was deliberate, planned, and premeditated.
To be clear, not a single court, not a single judge agreed that the election results were invalid or should be invalidated.
Democratic impeachment prosecutors branded the former President Donald Trump inciter-in-chief. Meanwhile, President Joe Biden says the United States is taking action against Myanmar's military, including freezing access to U.S.-based assets as he urged its generals to relinquish power. Biden says his administration is cutting off the generals' access to $1 billion in funds here in the U.S. and will soon unveil new sanctions. Let's take a look.
We will identify at first round of targets this week, and we're also going to impose strong exports controls. We're freezing U.S. assets that benefit the Burmese government while maintaining our support for health care, civil society groups, and other areas that benefit the people of Burma directly. As protests grow, violence against those asserting their democratic rights is unacceptable, and we're going to keep calling it out. The people of Burma are making their voices heard, and the world is watching. We'll be ready to impose additional measures, and we'll continue to work with our international partners to urge other nations to join us in these efforts. The assault on Burma's transition to democracy remains an issue of deep bipartisan concern. We've consulted at length, for example, with Senator McConnell, who has had a very keen interest in this, and his team, and we welcome their helpful insights. We've also been in close contact with our allies and partners around the world, particularly in the Indo-Pacific region, driving vigorous diplomatic outreach to help coordinate an international response to what happened. The strong and unified message emerging from the United States has been essential, in our view, to encouraging other countries to join us in pressing for immediate return to democracy. Last week, the United States helped bring together the UN Security Council, which issued a strong statement in support of Burmese democracy. And this week, we will use our renewed engagement on the Human Rights Council to strengthen the world's commitment to human rights in Burma.
President Joe Biden made his first visit as president to the Pentagon Wednesday as the U.S. military seeks to address far-right extremism and racism among its troops. Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris crossed the Potomac River to the iconic seat of the Department of Defense in the early afternoon, where they were greeted by Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin and top generals and civilian officials. Austin, a retired general and former U.S. Middle East commander, is the first African American to hold the position. Austin has set his priorities on combating COVID-19 in the U.S. forces to preserve readiness, on supporting Biden's national 100-day plan to get the virus under control, and to root out racism and related extremism in the more than 2 million uniformed service members. Issues of racism and extremism have always challenged the force, but came to the fore after hundreds of extremist supporters of former President Donald Trump, some of them embracing white supremacy ideology, stormed the U.S. Capitol on January 6. Biden has set a theme for his administration of advancing greater opportunities for minorities across the entire government. On Tuesday, Defense Department spokesman John Kirby said the two aims of Biden's visit were to talk to senior leaders on foreign and defense policy, and then to address the huge Pentagon workforce. Back at the White House, Press Secretary Jen Psaki says the White House condemns the Houthi attack launched Wednesday against Aba International Airport in Saudi Arabia.
First say that we condemn the Houthi attack today at the Aba International Airport in Saudi Arabia, a civilian airport. The attack coincides with Special Envoy Lender King's first trip to the region and his efforts to bring a lasting peace to Yemen that will ease the suffering of the Yemeni people. The Houthis, meanwhile, continually demonstrate a desire to prolong the war by attacking Saudi Arabia, including attacks on citizens. And we will continue our diplomatic outreach and engage with various.
During her daily briefing, Psaki also commented on the TikTok deal, saying a review of security risks is ongoing. The Wall Street Journal reported earlier that the plan to force the sale of the Chinese-owned video app to American investors has been put on hold.
It's not accurate to suggest that there is a new proactive step by the Biden White House. It looks like there was a conflation of two ongoing processes, one that's through the courts and one that is through the CFIUS process that goes through the Department of Treasury. There is a rigorous CFIUS process that is ongoing. I will note, broadly speaking, that we are comprehensively evaluating, as we've talked about in here, the risks U.S. data, including from TikTok, the risks to U.S. data, I should say, including from TikTok, and we'll address them in a decisive and effective fashion. But if we have
For today's COVID-19 numbers, according to the Coronavirus Resource Center of Johns Hopkins University in Medicine, as of 6 p.m. Eastern Time Wednesday, February 10, the number of cases of COVID-19 reported worldwide is now more than 107,199,000. Top three on the list of countries with recorded cases: U.S. still number one, more than 27.2 million. India with more than 10.8 million. And Brazil has more than 9.5 million. To date, more than 2,349,000 have succumbed to this virus. The U.S. leads the countries with the most number of COVID-19 related deaths with more than 470,000. Brazil is next with more than 233,000, and Mexico has more than 168,000. For tonight's COVID news, a World Health Organization expert sent to China to probe the coronavirus hit out at U.S. intelligence on COVID-19 as his team headed home with few answers about the origin of a pandemic that was forcing more clampdowns in some of the hardest hit parts of the world. The WHO mission to the ground zero city of Wuhan wrapped up Tuesday without any concrete answers, with Washington again expressing skepticism about China's transparency and cooperation. But WHO team member Peter Daszak tweeted, "Please don't rely too much on U.S. intel, increasingly disengaged under Trump and frankly wrong on many aspects." He said they worked flat out under the most politically charged environment possible. China had repeatedly delayed the WHO trip and bristled at accusations of a lack of transparency. Beijing warned Washington not to politicize the mission after the White House demanded a robust probe. State Department spokesman Ned Price said Tuesday that the United States supports the investigation. But when asked if China had fully cooperated with the WHO, he said the jury is still out. The WHO team did not identify which animal transferred the coronavirus to humans, but said there was no indication it was circulating in Wuhan before December 2019, when the first official cases were recorded. WHO expert Peter Ben-Embarek also scotched the controversial theory that the virus may have leaked from a lab in Wuhan. Senior members of a Colombo community who are over 70 received the first dose of the Oxford AstraZeneca COVID-19 vaccine. This community is a hinterland settlement founded by people of African origin. The inoculation of these individuals happened at the border between the Brazilian states of Pará and Amazonas during a visit from a vaccination team traveling by boat. When we come back, updates from Washington, New Jersey, and New York. This is Eagle News America. Stay with us.
Hey there, Arnie Aquino here at Hatley Castle, one of the filming locations for the X-Men series. Don't forget to tune in to Digital Nest only on Net 25.
Ngayong linggo naman ay 3 sa ating mga kababayan ang lulusok sa mas tumitinding hamon na TNG stage as they battle it out for a shot at their dreams and the 2 million peso grand prize! Let's go! Ito po ang Baggies and Galing Part 2 Dance Edition.
Innovation, digital disruption, globalization. Startups, micro, small, and medium enterprises, as well as large corporations, all face interesting challenges in the market today. Peek into the world of exciting opportunities and partnerships to drive with the latest business news and information. We are open for business. Your weekly dose of entrepreneurial inspiration to update you on the latest developments in the world of business. Get up close and personal with CEOs and thought leaders to help you discover valuable insights, sharpen your instincts for smart decision making with the latest markets and economic trends, disruptive ideas, global innovation, social entrepreneurship, and other leading-edge business ideas. Join the conversations to create a more vibrant environment for entrepreneurship. Catch Open for Business, from vision to action.
Eagle News America, I'm Ace Ramirez in Washington. Washington, D.C. continues to help lighten the burden of those struggling financially during this pandemic. Like what the district has done in the past, it recently addressed the problem of low-income communities paying housing rent. In Washington, Eliza Gonzalez Manglikmot joins us tonight with the details.
Thank you, Ace. Good Wednesday evening to you and a good Thursday morning to our viewers on the other side of the globe. Now, Mayor Muriel Bowser announced the district has expended $13 million in federal funding for 2 rental assistance programs developed by the Department of Housing and Community Development, or the DHCD, and the DC Housing Finance Agency, or the DCHFA. In addition, housing providers may now apply to the COVID-19 Housing Assistance Program, or the CHAP, on behalf of eligible tenants. In a statement, Mayor Bowser acknowledged the importance of programs like this, saying, "We know that while it is important to invest in our rental assistance programs, it is even more critical that we get those dollars out the door and into the community." She admitted that it will take a coordinated community effort to overcome the economic burdens caused by the pandemic. She also said that working with housing providers to provide quick relief to their tenants is essential. Approximately 4,500 households, a majority of which are low-income residents of affordable housing, were assisted with $11.5 million from the Housing Stabilization Grants Program. The district contributed 80% to those owing back rent between April and November 2020, with their housing provider forgiving the rest. Additionally, approximately 450 low-income district households received $1.5 million from the Tenant-Based Rental Assistance Program, or the TBRA. The Housing Stabilization Grants Program launched for a limited time in December with an initial investment of $10 million, used coronavirus relief funds from the U.S. Department of Treasury to assist housing providers in the district's portfolio of affordable housing projects and those providers with ownership interests in less than 20 units of housing in the district. Now, the TBRA program, which launched in May 2020, used funding from the Federal Home Investment Partnerships Program to help low-income rental households earning below 60% MFI who had lost income during the COVID-19 public health emergency. Now, for some weather update, it is now 36 degrees Fahrenheit or 2 degrees Celsius here in the nation's capital. In Washington, Eliza Gonzalez Manglikmot, Eagle News, will live in interesting times. Back to you, Ace.
Thank you, Eliza. I think we're expecting snow until the weekend, if
we are.
I'm mistaken, here in DMV, right? But it doesn't seem like it's going to affect the vaccination program here in DC. Any vaccination updates, Eliza?
Yes, Ace. DC Health announced that this Thursday, February 11, beginning at 9 a.m., approximately 2,500 vaccination appointments will be made available to DC residents who live in priority zip codes and are 65 years old or older and or work in a healthcare setting. Now, the priority zip codes are focused in wards 5, 7, and 8, which include areas of the city where residents are disproportionately affected by COVID-19, including the number of cases and mortality rate. Now, wards 5, 7, and 8 are being prioritized because they have the lowest percentages of residents who are 65 and older who have received at least 1 dose of the vaccine. Now, the following day, Friday, February 12, also at 9 a.m., DC Health will make approximately 2,500 additional appointments available for all district residents who are 65 years of age and older and or are healthcare workers in the district. Now, to date, more than 1 in 3 DC seniors have already received at least 1 dose of the COVID-19 vaccine. Ace?
Thank you so much, Eliza Gonzalez Manglikmot, in Washington, D.C. Governor Phil Murphy of New Jersey cancels all his in-person events as he voluntarily quarantines due to a family member getting infected with COVID-19. In Sicklerville, May Ann Manzano Guerzon has the details. May Ann.
Thank you, Ace. In a statement released by Mehan Gunaratna, Governor Murphy's communication director, he said that a member of the governor's family recently tested positive for COVID-19. Per guidance from public health officials, the contact tracing process has begun to notify everyone who may have come into contact with the governor's family member during the potential infection window. He also said that after careful review, the governor does not qualify as an exposed close contact. However, out of an abundance of caution and in line with the highest levels of commitment to protecting public health, the governor will be canceling in-person events and voluntarily quarantining before resuming any in-person engagements. The governor received a coronavirus test earlier today as part of his regularly scheduled testing regime, which came back negative. From NJ.com, Governor Phil Murphy's Wednesday coronavirus in-person press conference in Trenton, New Jersey has been canceled and will now be held virtually. The usually in-person gathering at Trenton War Memorial was slated to start at 1 p.m. but moved to virtual and began at 3 p.m. The briefing was streamed live on Governor's Facebook page. Murphy was joined by State Health Commissioner Judy Percy Kelly, Advisor Eddie Dr. Bresnitz, and State Police Superintendent Colonel Pat Callahan at the Zoom briefing. And meanwhile, for New Jersey's latest COVID-19 numbers, the Department of Health has reported another 3,740 new positive cases today, bringing our statewide total to 653,955. Sadly, we are also reporting 88 new deaths, pushing the total to 20,004 fatalities. And lastly, the latest total of COVID-19 vaccinations administered here in New Jersey is now 1,138,757. And for a quick weather update is, it's currently 9:05 in the evening here in New Jersey, and it's currently cloudy. And like what you said, we are also expecting snowfall anytime tonight until probably Sunday. It is 30 degrees Fahrenheit or -1 degrees Celsius. In Sicklerville, New Jersey, May and Manzano Garzon, Eagle News, we live in interesting times. Back to you, Ace.
Thank you, May Ann. Did the governor mention who the family member is who tested positive?
Well, in a report we received, Ace, the governor clarified that it's not his wife, Miss Tammy Murphy, who tested positive. He said it was another family member who resides at their house that tested positive Wednesday morning, actually, but he did not actually specify who. So I suppose for privacy and security reasons, Ace.
Great, great. Thank you so much, May Ann Manzano Garzon, Sicklerville, New Jersey.
Thank you, Ace.
After 2 months of restricting indoor dining in New York City due to the spike in COVID-19 cases, here's some good news. Indoor dining in the city is again allowed, but only at 25% capacity. In New York, Bureau Chief Joanne Soriano tells us when it's going to happen. Joanne.
Would you eat outdoors in below freezing temperatures or surrounded by snowfall? That is what restaurant patrons in New York City, wanting a meal away from home, have had to deal with during these winter months, while indoor dining is still closed. Governor Andrew Cuomo recently announced that New York City indoor dining can reopen at 25% capacity on Friday, February 12th. Reopening was previously scheduled for Sunday, February 14th, but restaurants requested an earlier reopening date. This would allow for staff to prepare and get supplies into restaurants in order to prepare for what they foresee will be a busy weekend. When indoor dining closed again on December 11th due to the rise in COVID cases, restaurants hurried to build outdoor dining structures to also deal with the colder temperatures. Heat lamps became part of the landscape. One restaurant's website invited customers to bring their own blankets for extra comfort. Enclosures were constructed on streets in front of restaurants or right on the sidewalk. While some of these fixtures have been basic and simple, others have become elaborate getaways in order to woo customers out of their homes. All over the city, improvised dining havens appeared, from private cabins and tents to igloos and rooftop greenhouses. Some have been decorated with plants or artwork and outfitted with air purifiers in order to make people feel more at ease. a reimagined restaurant week to go, where diners can order takeout or delivery for lunch or dinner, had the highest number of restaurants sign up for the program this year. It was slated to only run for a week in January, but due to early success and high consumer demand, the program has been extended to the end of February. In New York City, Joanne Soriano, Eagle News. We live in interesting times. Back to you.
Thank you, Joanne. Up next, updates from Pennsylvania, Texas, and Ohio. Eagle News America will return shortly.
Happy Peeps! Ugaliing manood ng Happy Time Monday to Friday at 12 noon dito lang sa Net25.
Happy time, happy time.
Factual.
We have to defeat the virus everywhere.
Timely information. Balanced. Not only in the country, but also abroad.
I'm certain of one thing.
Interviews that people need to know. Watch Agila Pilipinas! 1 hour newscast of reports coming from regional hubs in Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao. Know the important updates in Asia in ASEAN in Focus. Track the latest stories in the provinces in Agila Provincia. Tune into Mata ng Agila, the evening primetime news program of Net25. Balanced and objective, Mata ng Agila covers national and international issues, tackles news on business, health, science, and technology, entertainment, sports and human interest features, and current events. And Eagle News International delivers the latest global reports, impartial, accessible, and up-to-date. It brings to fore EBC's rich international scope and access to valuable information streams.
Well, thank you to thank our help outdoor
Catch these programs on Net25. You can also watch our news programs through eaglenews.ph and Eagle News Facebook page and YouTube channel.
You are watching News America. I'm Ace Ramirez in Washington. With more and more people anxious and eager to receive the COVID-19 jab, the state of Pennsylvania's Department of Health launches Your Turn, a vaccine eligibility tool. In Swarthmore, Bureau Chief Myla Simbulan joins us tonight with the details. Myla.
That's right, Ace. The Pennsylvania Department of Health launched a new tool called Your Turn to help Pennsylvanians understand where they fall in the vaccine prioritization effort and to be alerted when it is their turn to schedule an appointment for the COVID-19 vaccine. Here's Pennsylvania Acting Health Secretary Allison Beam. Take a look.
That's why today we're excited to announce that we're launching a new tool called Your Turn to help everyone understand where they fall in the vaccination prioritization effort and to serve as a way they can be alerted when it is their turn to schedule an appointment. Pennsylvanians younger than 65 can use this tool to determine if it is their turn to receive the COVID-19 vaccine in Pennsylvania. If it is your turn, we will direct you on how to find a vaccine provider. If it is not your turn yet, you will be able to enter your contact information to receive updates about vaccine distribution in Pennsylvania. We will let you know when it is your turn to get vaccinated. Remember, your turn will solely be used for the purpose of determining if you are eligible to receive the vaccine.
Your Turn will be used for the sole purpose of determining eligibility for receiving a COVID-19 vaccination in Pennsylvania and will replace the current eligibility quiz on pa.gov. Using the tool does not register an individual to receive a vaccine and does not guarantee a vaccination appointment. Eligibility is based on prioritizations recommended by the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention's Advisory Committee on Immunization Practices, or ACIP. which have been implemented in the Commonwealth's COVID-19 interim vaccination plan. Meanwhile, here's the current vaccination numbers. More than 2,439,000 doses of the vaccine will have been allocated or received by providers. More than 175,000 first doses will have been allocated this week. And more than 1,426,000 first doses will have been allocated in total. More than 143,000 second doses will have been allocated this week, and 1,012,000 second doses will have been allocated in total. Right now, ACE in Swarthmore is 34 degrees Fahrenheit or -1 degrees Celsius with clear skies. In Swarthmore, Pennsylvania, Myla Simbula and Eagle News, we live in interesting times. Back to you, Ace.
Thank you, Myla. Did you say clear skies? Aren't you expecting snow too this weekend?
It was clear skies this morning, but yes, tonight there will be snow. We're expecting some snow as well, similar to where you are and where Mayan is as well.
I see. Okay, question for you. What are the other options to know, to gauge if you are qualified to receive the vaccine? Let's say you don't have internet connection.
So if an individual does not have internet access or is unable to use Your Turn tool, they can call 877-PA-HEALTH and speak with a representative to determine eligibility. And if, let's say, if an individual is eligible, the representative will help the individual locate nearby vaccine providers and provide contact information so the individual can make a vaccine appointment directly with a provider. Ace?
I see. Great information. Everything's being done for us. Thank you so much, Myla Simbulan, Swarthmore, Pennsylvania. With us tonight is Eagle News correspondent Rani Bayuga in Pearisburg.
Thank you, Ace. The Ohio Development Services Agency is now distributing some $100 million in federal aid to low-income Ohioans who do not have their own homes. This financial aid may be used to pay for their rent as far back as March 2020. It can also be used to pay for their utilities, such as electric, gas, and water, to help them get current on these kinds of bills. And after every 3 months, they can also continue to request for future aid. Ohio also, in order to qualify for this aid in Ohio, they must be below the 80% or at or below the 80% median of their median income for their community, their county, and have experienced financial hardships due to COVID-19. And they must be also able to demonstrate a risk for homelessness or housing instability. K-12 academic assessments. Governor Mike DeWine projected to have all K-12 schools back in in-person learning by March 1st. As of today, there are currently 15% of students in fully online learning, and compared to back in December, which was around 45%. The academic assessments of students have seen a significant drop. Governor Mike DeWine stated also, this is a once-in-a-lifetime pandemic which has impacted all of us. So there should be no surprise that it has impacted our children. But we should not panic, and nor should we be surprised by the results of the assessments. The governor asked schools to work with their communities to help students make up for lost learning, including extending the school year and maybe starting the school year early. Lieutenant Governor Husted also spoke about proposed executive budget that will guarantee students to access computer science education. Let's watch this.
Academy and Project Lead the Way and others, how important this is to preparing students for careers in the modern economy. And we are putting their recommendations to work. And Governor DeWine and I know we've discussed this, but we believe those 58% of the students who don't have that opportunity deserve that opportunity. And in the budget, we are proposing a guarantee for access to computer science classes so that that everybody in our high schools have access to computer science classes. And in this budget, it gives them a right to that computer science class through a statutory right that they can either get through their school or another provider of the student's choice. We will work with the schools to make sure that we can implement this properly, working with the Ohio Department of Education. And that guarantee in the 2022-23 school year will be for all 11th and 12th graders. And then in 2023 and 2024, 9th and 10th graders will be involved. And then the following academic year of 24 and 25, we'll have computer science, grade appropriate computer science opportunities for K through 8. We're doing many more things in this. I wanted to highlight these three because they're so important. These are
Lieutenant Governor John Husted also stated, we must rise to the challenge and commit to the work that will lead to an educational recovery that will echo economically for a generation. Ohio key indicators. As of today, there are currently 928,631 confirmed cases of COVID-19. And sadly, a total of 11,856 deaths. Currently, there are also 48,080 hospitalizations in total, and also ICU admissions at 6,889. Ohio also has released their vaccine location map so that you can find the location of your nearest site to get your vaccine shots. Perrysburg, Ohio, Eagle News. I'm Ronnie Bayuga. We live in interesting times. Back to you, Ace.
Thank you, Randy. Is Ohio considering any other programs to implement for its K-12 schools?
Yes, they're doing some very exciting programs right now. Lieutenant Governor Husted also mentioned having high school students graduate not only with their high school diploma, but with some kind of an associate degree or something that they can use to get immediate work experience. So this is a very exciting thing that they're looking to do together with these computer science classes, because they're looking forward to the future where everything will be related to computer science in some way. So they're doing some very interesting things to help Ohio students be on top. So really good thing for Ohio.
And basically, right after high school, they'll be able to enter the workforce already.
Yes, with a certificate that they gain some kind of work experience, some kind of skills that they can use. So it's a very interesting program, and we're looking forward to see how that turns out.
Thank you so much, Randy Bayuga, Perrysburg, Ohio. Several reports from the Lone Star State tonight. New vaccination sites open in Houston and Dallas. Texas Governor Greg Abbott and Director of Public Safety discuss border security, and Texas being ranked the top exporting state by the Nation Census Bureau. In Austin, Jessica Isidro with the details. Jessica.
Thanks, Ace. On Wednesday, Texas Governor Greg Abbott announced that the Federal Emergency Management Agency, or FEMA, will be setting up mass vaccination federal pilot sites in Houston and the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex. The venues will include the AT&T Stadium, Fair Park, and NRG Stadium as part of a joint effort to support vaccination efforts in underserved areas, and will be operated by FEMA in collaboration with the Texas Division of Emergency Management, or TDEM, and local officials. Building and preparation of these 3 sites is currently underway and expected to open February 24th. Governor Abbott stated, these mass community sites will allow us to expand access to COVID-19 vaccinations in underserved communities and help us mitigate the spread of the virus. Thank you to our partners at FEMA for working with the state of Texas to establish these vaccination sites and help us protect our most vulnerable. Meanwhile, Governor Abbott had also recently met with the Department of Public Safety Director, Colonel Steve McCraw, to discuss border security. On Tuesday, the governor and Colonel McCraw held a talk regarding the recent surge of immigrants at Texas's southern border and observed that the influx is related to President Biden's reinstatement of the catch and release policy. Both leaders discussed the safety and health concerns related to this policy, which include the potential spread of COVID-19 and increased threats from drug cartels. The discussion included possible strategies and solutions to minimize the influx of immigrants at the border to keep Texas communities safe. In other news, Texas was ranked the top exporting state for the 19th year in a row. In a statement issued by Governor Abbott on Monday, the U.S. Census Bureau ranked Texas the top exporting state for the 19th consecutive year, totaling $279.3 billion in exports in 2020, higher than both New York and California combined. Texas also leads the nation in tech exports for the 8th consecutive year in a row. Governor Abbott stated, Texas's exporting prowess is a testament to our business-friendly climate, strong trade partnerships, and most of all, the millions of hardworking Texans in communities across our state. The Lone Star State has fostered an environment that is creating more jobs, attracting new investments, and growing the Texas brand on the global stage. And we are just getting started. There is no brand more powerful than Made in Texas, and we will continue to support the men and women that built that brand as we unleash the full might of the Texas economy. Meanwhile, it's 35 degrees Fahrenheit or 1 degree Celsius with rain here in Austin, and we are actually expecting snow this weekend as well. I hope you're staying safe in your part of the country. In Austin, Texas, I'm Isidro, Eagle News. We live in interesting times. Back to you, Ace.
Thank you, Jessica. Wow, Texas is making waves, and even with the weather. You said you were expecting snow.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting. I didn't know we were expecting snow until somebody told me earlier today at work. Yeah.
You recently moved to Austin, right? The capital of Texas. I've never been to Texas really, but what's it like? What is it like being there?
It's been great, actually. My second day in Austin, it snowed, and that was about a month ago. I was not expecting that. It's a lot different from Houston because Houston is such a huge city. Austin is very small in comparison. I live very close to downtown. Back in Houston, I lived very far from downtown. So I will say I have gone out. I've gone a bit more sightseeing in the past month than I ever have in Houston. A few of my friends from Houston actually came up this past weekend to visit, and we went around the city, and it was really fun. And there's so many food places that I need to try.
I see. It may be too early to tell, but if you were to choose, Houston or Austin?
I am actually really liking Austin a lot more than Houston.
That's good to hear. Thank you so much, Jessica Isidro, Austin, Texas. Up next, EBC Sports, and tonight's roundtable, National Umbrella Day, real life umbrella scenes. Eagle News America will return in a moment.
It's time to take one step further and face the impossible. Time to search the unknown and fight for the truth. Time to overcome boundaries and connect to the world. It's time for DW News.
Kuya John, bored na po ako mag-judge. Kailangan ko lang, Kuya John, hanapin yung sarili ko.
Pero, teka, ano ba problema?
Hindi ako dapat dito.
Isang ka ba dapat?
Basta, dito gusto ko Mas masarap pa rin makipaglaro sa mga bata.
Hindi kayo nang kapadyan, talo ka na mag-isa.
Magtrabaho
Because you've asked for more, we're giving you more! It's time to have fun tuwing hapunan dahil regular nating makakasalo ang bouncing baby wonder na si Boopsie Wonderland sa It's Singing Time! From Monday to Friday at 8 p.m. only on Net 25.
Events happen around us all the time, in our community, in our country, around the world. Events that affect people, move communities, or simply inspire us. Interesting events that people need to know. In these interesting times, we continue to be a competent partner in delivering news about these events. Fast, accurate, balanced. Eagle News, because we live in interesting times.
Remember Jeremy Lin? Linsanity? Basketball fans sure do. And although it's been a while since Jeremy Lin created that sensation in the NBA, his name still draws much deserved attention. Lin is back in sports news. He's taking steps to return to the NBA by playing for Golden State's G League affiliate, the Santa Cruz Warriors. Here's Melissa Potes with the details.
9 years ago, Jeremy Lin took the sports world by storm as a member of the New York Knicks. During a 7-game stretch, Linsanity evolved to a cultural craze due to the point guard's high-scoring performances. Lin soldiered on to play for 8 teams, including a brief stint with the Toronto Raptors championship team in 2019. The 32-year-old returns to the G League and brings leadership and experience to the young Santa Cruz Warriors team.
I just want to stay consistent to that. You know, for me, like playing the right way, I can live with the results no matter what they are. And so in terms of anybody who I get to play with and team up with, I just want to make, I want to make it as meaningful and as purposeful and as pure of a game as it can be. And so, in terms of the team that we have or anybody that we have around, I just want to try to lead by example and make sure that we're playing great basketball. I'm pretty vocal when I get on the court or when the game starts. Like I talk a lot, so I just want to try to, just use leadership, use my voice, and use the experience just to lead it. And honestly, like I really want to win too. I want to win and win a lot of games. And, that's a big part of why we all play. We love the competition of it.
We will see Lin in action as the NBA G League kicks off their season Wednesday at the Orlando Bubble. In Orlando, Florida, Melissa Potes, Eagle News. We live in interesting times.
Thank you, Melissa. February 10 is National Umbrella Day. According to nationalcalendar.com, the word umbrella comes from the Latin word umbra, meaning shade or shadow. Brolly is a slang word for umbrella, often used in Britain, New Zealand, Australia, and South Africa. Bumbershoot is a fanciful Americanism for an umbrella from the late 19th century. Bumbershoot. The basic umbrella was invented over 4,000 years ago. There is evidence of umbrellas in the ancient art and artifacts of Egypt, Assyria, Greece, and China. We can credit the Chinese for being the first to protect us from the rain. Their paper parasols received a layer of wax followed by lacquer that made the umbrella withstand the elements. Now, umbrellas, aside from being used as protection from rain and heat, are a big part of our everyday lives. Let's ask our team tonight what real-life personal umbrella scenes they have, like those in Mary Poppins or Singing in the Rain maybe, romantic or sorrowful. Let's start with Jessica. Jessica, can you share with us your umbrella scene?
Well, I'm from Houston where, hurricanes happen. So I get a lot of rain during hurricane season. I actually have this new umbrella that opens or that closes upwards. Like, you know how if you go out with a regular umbrella, the wind like blows it inside out. Well, that's how it closes because I learned my lesson. Umbrellas and wind don't go well together. So the
is that something that is suitable for Texas?
I mean, it's helped me so far and kept my car dry when I get into the car while it's raining because it keeps the water in.
I think I've seen one before that closes upwards, not downwards, and it makes sense. When there's a big gust of wind, umbrellas tend to close up or it gets blown away, right? So thank you so much, Jessica. Let's move on. Rani, what's your umbrella scene story?
I had a Mary Poppins moment. But you know how you have those golf umbrellas, the really big ones? And back in the day, long time ago, I was just maybe 100 and something pounds, and a big gust of wind. I was holding the umbrella. I was starting to fly. That was it. That was fun.
I thought you were going to say you started singing.
I was singing kind of different tune, like, help.
Thank you for sharing that, Randy. Eliza, what's your umbrella story? I know you have a lot.
Just two for tonight. My umbrellas, they remind me of my late father because after a stroke he suffered in his late 60s, he used his umbrella not only when it rains or when it's hot, but to also help him walk because he used it as a cane to support him when he walks. As you know, if someone suffers a stroke, sometimes one of the effects is you cannot walk the way you used to. So he used it as a support. Also, growing up, I remember we can never leave the house without it because back in the Philippines, you'll never know when it's gonna rain. But it is always hot, so we also use it to protect ourselves from the heat. That's why.
That's in the Philippines, whether it's hot or sunny or raining, you just got to have an umbrella in hand.
All the time, in your bag.
And once you get here to the U.S., you bring an umbrella and people start looking at you. You open your umbrella in the middle of a hot sunny day and people start looking at you.
That's true. That's true. You look strange.
Thank you, Eliza. Myla, what's your umbrella story?
It's just like Eliza. I lived half of my life in the Philippines, and when you're in the Philippines, especially if you commute every day, you need an umbrella. And when it rains, it always comes with a strong wind. So there was a time, I think I was in college, and of course it's been raining. It's a tropical country, so and there's a wind, a big wind, and my umbrella flew away, and I just stopped using it. I just let the rain. It just got soaked on the rain because there's no point using an umbrella at that point. So yeah, that was one of the moments. And to show you what Jessica's talking about, I have that type of umbrella. If you can see it.
With props.
From the bottom, like this.
Let me see.
See the top? Like that. So when you open it, I don't know if you can see it.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
That's it.
See, when you close it, it looks like this when you close it.
Ooh, pretty.
Upside down umbrella, yeah.
It makes sense. So yeah, you don't
strong wind.
That's
Isn't it cool?
Umbrella.
Yeah, they also make this on small versions. So yeah, I think I have one. I just couldn't find it. So yeah, this is my new umbrella to prevent me from doing that. But I'm already here in the U.S. And here in the Northeast, we don't usually have that strong wind when it's raining. So
that's very useful. When it's raining, you can just you know, prop it a little bit. You can catch all the money. Well, you know. Anyway.
Yeah, it's very useful. Yeah.
Then I think umbrella gives you a little bit of privacy. You know, would you go for a transparent umbrella or something that's, you know, you can cover yourself from like a person that you don't like? Meeting a person you don't like in the street, so you just start covering yourself. You can't do that if it's transparent. Would you go for transparent or not, Jessica?
If it's aesthetically pleasing, yes.
Okay. How about you, Rani?
Yes, I would. That would be cool.
Eliza?
Yes, I like those, especially the ones that are shaped like they're over your head like that. They're not made wide open. They're like, it's like in the olden times, olden days. But I see them lately, the transparent one. Yes, the answer is yes.
Mila? Would you?
Well, design-wise, I think, yeah, if we're talking about Eliza's design, I think it has to be transparent, because how are you going to walk if it's, let's say, black or blue, right? It will be hard for you to see where you're going. So it has to be transparent. If your design is like covering your face, so yes.
Well, thank you so much for that healthy umbrella discussion. Thank you for sharing your umbrella stories, guys. And as always, at the end of every broadcast, we do not forget to recognize the efforts of our healthcare workers, first responders, and essential workers. Thank you for being our modern-day heroes. That is today's Eagle News America. Thank you for joining us. I'm Ace Ramirez. We live in interesting times.